Yeah, welcome, Ben. How are you?
Sean, it's great to see you again, mate, and be here with so many students, aspiring student athletes, and globally around the world as well. So it's a real treat for me today to jump on with you and chat and share some tips and stories with the students as well. Thanks so much.
Fantastic. So I know you're a busy man, and I know you've got to be out coaching. You're coaching some professional players in a little bit later. So we'll keep this short and sweet. And I know that the fact that a lot of our students are completely zoomed out now. They've done so many online stuff. They're really keen to be back in school, the vast majority anyway. And they've had a lot of them have had a busy day today. So we'll keep it short and sweet, Ben. But I would just like to really just ask a few questions really about how you've got into where you are, how you've mixed your passions of traveling, basketball, marketing, etc. So maybe we could start from the top. What about so where did you go to school? What did you do? What were you like when you were picture yourself in maybe these LLS students' shoes? They're 16 to 18, doing their sixth form, thinking about going to uni. Some of them are going off traveling. So if you can just jump back to that sort of time, yeah, what was happening?
Yeah, sure. I think it's a great place to start, really. And even from the start, when I fell in love with basketball, I was actually 10. A guy from South Wales, a small valley town called Abertillery. I very much doubt many people would even know where that is or put their finger on a map and be able to place it. But it's a very small village town in South Wales. Our closest city would be Newport, and the one after that would be our capital in Cardiff. So at 10, I just picked up a basketball and started to go crazy with it. For a Welsh guy, it was something out of the ordinary. No one really understood it much. Everyone really wanted me, especially my dad, wanted me to play rugby. I tried it, never really liked it. Always played soccer, I swam. But then from 10 years, basketball really took over. It's strange, actually, because we didn't even have Sky TV. So there was no American influence on TV. I don't even know what it was. I just preferred to bounce the ball rather than kick it. So, yeah. And then if we're moving straight towards kind of sixth form time, that was quite crucial for me because I went to an all Welsh school. So all my exams were in Welsh, studied in Welsh from the age of 7, my sister and I. And then coming to GCSE year, everything, like I said, was done in Welsh. And then I made the decision to go to a English-speaking college, which for me is going to be huge. It's the first time I'd be going to have lessons for the first time, really, all through English. The only time I ever had English lessons was in English lesson. We had French lessons through Welsh. We had Spanish lessons through Welsh, science in Welsh. So even though I speak English all the time for my parents, right, it was a bit of a change. So, but I made the jump purely based on the college having a basketball program and a basketball outlet, an opportunity for me to represent Welsh colleges, which I did in the end. Unfortunately, my Welsh speaking sixth form school, which I would have loved to have stayed because I really enjoyed keeping up the cultural traditions of speaking Welsh and everything that goes along with it. I left that behind. I left a lot of friends behind purely down to the availability of basketball in the college. So I managed to pick up a course that I really enjoyed. I didn't know kind of what timeline I wanted to be in school, so I didn't really go down the A-levels route. I took an advanced ICT course, which was all about information technology and graphic design and all that kind of stuff, which helped me. I had a real interest in business marketing, but went for the information technology route and then just pursued my basketball. Was traveling from the Valley's town in Abertillery, near enough 2.5 hours over the bridge to Taunton, like twice a week to play in close to Somerset in England. So whilst I was doing that, I was still, studying hard, and I didn't even know if I wanted to go to university. I was just kind of figuring it out because my main passion and everything was just basketball. So I was just really seeing where it could take me, and then just jumping into the university kind of time, I managed to go into a business management degree, and I really fell in love with marketing. And at that time, I was good enough, and I was kept at my training to make the Welsh universities team as well. So that's kind of where my sixth form college and my university time kind of took me. But I really fell in love with marketing and business there, which, as you can see now, I've just managed to luckily marry together.
Brilliant. So for people that don't know, we can send over you the Ben's Instagram account is basketball coaching business, very, very professionally. It looks really cool. I think you've got 15,000 followers. It's pretty cool, very impressive. And one I was really impressed with, Ben, when we've had our conversations, is how you've just said then, you stepped out of your comfort zone. You could have just easily stayed in the little town in the Welsh-speaking school. You've seized opportunities, and that's what we try and get with our students. And lots of our students do that, to come onto the LLS course. I know 1 or 2 students that travel like an hour and a half at least a day just to get to college because they want to do this course,
Right.
and they want to follow their passions. And that's what we know doing people do. That they seize opportunities, they get out of their comfort zone, and obviously
Right.
that's what you've done as well. So we've got to, you're doing marketing in university. You're still following your dreams of basketball, trying to be the best you can be. And then what happened from there then? So what took you to Qatar?
So, I mean, trying to cut a long story short, when I was in university, I managed to then just jump straight into my postgrad. So I ended up doing my degree, and then doing a advanced certificate, so a postgrad in marketing. I was very close to staying for my master's. I really kind of sunk my teeth into the business. I always wanted to run my own business. I really saw a key opportunity for me there, and I always had a good feeling with it as well. At the time there, when I was in my kind of later years, so my postgrad years, I kind of understood how competitive the sport was going to be and how demanding it was going to be, right? So as you know, you've played at quite a good level as well in the UK, so it does take a lot out. If there's any students hearing as well that are currently trying to do it themselves, or even have friends that are playing at the next level, it is a huge commitment. And unfortunately, by then I hadn't gone to the States. I did have a chance when I was 15 to go, but the family couldn't afford it. There was no scholarships available. No one wanted to sponsor a Welsh boy going to the States. So it was just something that actually just didn't happen. So I made a really mature decision at the time when I was early 20s to kind of keep playing recreationally, but as far as pursuing it professionally, I think I wanted to see what the business side of my passion was going to lead. I never thought that at that time that I was going to marry basketball and business together, to be honest. So I ended up graduating my degree, following on to a postgrad, and then just started the big wide world of putting a shirt and tie on and managing 4 sports centers in my local borough, and just enjoying full-time earning and getting some experience from some great people, and still training a lot myself. I've always been fascinated in health, nutrition, fitness, so I was always a keen kind of athlete. Even though my basketball, I kind of put that to a side for a moment, I was still playing regularly each week. So then after a few years of experience in the job world and managing sports facilities, so there was still that kind of sports industry link, if you will. But basketball in Wales, as you know, is quite tricky to find somewhere unless you're volunteering, unless it's a secondary job. It's really tough actually to make it your full-time living. And now though, it's actually opening up with a lot more opportunities, which is good to see. So then I just made the decision to go traveling. I have relatives in Australia. I always wanted to just put a backpack on and see where it took me. And I think it was an interesting point where you said earlier, it's great to see there's so many students internationally on this call, but also the ones that want to maybe spread their wings, maybe the ones that are traveling from town to town. Like I spent 40 minutes on a bus every day going from my local village town to the city. So something like this was kind of natural for me. I always kind of was comfortable meeting new people and going to new towns and all that kind of stuff. So I always wanted to travel. So, and this is the one thing as well, maybe we'll talk about it a little bit later on if we're talking with Q&As with the students, like tips and all that kind of stuff. And my mother actually told me this as well. She just said, look, if it doesn't work out, the worst position you'll be in is right back where we're having this chat now in the living room, right? So the worst case scenario is you can be right back where you are. So I sold my car, I sold a lot of my belongings, packed one backpack, and ended up on a flight to Bangkok. And I was traveling Southeast Asia, and ended up 4 months later in Australia, traveling by myself for 8 months, and met some incredible people, blew up my horizons. And by the time I got back after a year in the UK, I had changed a lot personally. I don't think much else around me had changed in the village or in the town, but I had for sure changed. I'd met so many people, my directory and my contacts blew up. I had people all over the world saying, come and meet us, come and stay on the sofa, come and do this. So by the time I got back 12 months after my first initial trip backpacking, I was ready to leave. Within the first few days of saying hi to my family and my friends, I was ready to get out again and spread my wings. So I was lucky that I knew some people in Qatar. They were international teachers, living a great life. And they just said, come over. And actually the Middle East was somewhere on my bucket list that I hadn't gone to within my trip. So I just thought, why not? So I ended up just going out for a week visit, managed to meet up with some key people in the sports industry. It's just who you know. And when you travel, it's really such a great thing to meet so many people who actually are positioned in some of the key areas that you might be able to use and help each other out in the future or whatever. So that week led to me coming back and planning to go back there to live after the Christmas break. So I think I went there in maybe October for a week to visit, met some key people. And then by January, I think it was 2000, I always get mixed up with this because time's flying, 2011 or 2012, I went back to Qatar and ended up working for a sports academy here, which is still one of the biggest sports academies, if not the biggest youth sports academy here, that I have a great relationship with, that most on this call might even have heard of, Evolution Sports Qatar. So at the time it was Evolution Soccer. So me going there and meeting Tommy at the time, who was the complete founder and GM of the whole thing that he kind of created from scratch with a few football coaches. They wanted to expand. So with my business, with my basketball, with my club management expertise, I could come in and redevelop a website and launch basketball, help launch swimming, and help launch an adult fitness group. So within 4 years, we really took the soccer academy to a multi-sport academy, where it is now, and that it's even grown to some great extent.
Can I just stop you there, Ben? Because everyone on this call, I think, know Evo Sports. They know it very well. We do a global coaching conference every year, and Evolution Sports, or Evo Sports, is obviously a big partner of LLS. So in a sense, although you weren't a part of an LLS center, there is a real strong link there, and it's amazing because our LLS students get to go out to work with Evo. And that's what you did. You just went over there, worked with Evo, and you've built up your connections that we talk about in LS all the time with professional networking. You've built up, a whole array of people that you know. And as I've always like to say, that every day's an interview. And I guess that's the way you've dealt with things there. You built up your name, and then so how did it come about to you starting off B Basketball?
Yes, what you just said hits the nail massively on the head. And it was just pure luck that I met the right people in that week break. And then Tommy and I struck up a great relationship. We're very close friends to this day. We speak almost every week. We'll chat about what each program is doing, and we compete. The basketball director at Evo right now is actually someone that I found to replace me. So basically, to cut another long story short, I left Qatar in 2015. I was headhunted to take care of a basketball academy in Saigon, in Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam. And obviously I'd been there during my travels, so I was very comfortable in Southeast Asia. I always wanted to live in Asia and find work there. So this was another opportunity that I just couldn't believe that it happened, where it was connecting basketball again with running a program. So I ended up going there, loving it, loving the place, completely wrote their curriculum, done a lot of work with the professionals for the first time ever. So now I was working with American imports, I was working with the Vietnamese, local players, and we were watching, I was there courtside front seat of the 3,000 capacity crowd watching Saigon Heat in the ABL League every single week. So I was living the dream as a Welsh guy. It was crazy. And still got many friends there right now that I talk to. And I really didn't think that was me ever coming back to the Middle East, let alone Qatar. I was happy there. And then myself and my best friend just kept in contact in Qatar, and they were doing a lot of connection works with international schools. And like I said, I've always wanted to own my own business. And I think developing this network of people, the experiences, everything that I kind of got under my belt within my 20s. Now I'm 38. So by the time I was 32, I believe I ended up moving back to Qatar. So 2016, I ended up moving back to Qatar, and the time was right for us to launch B Basketball. At the time was in one international school, and before COVID, we have contracts in 8 international schools with near enough 400 players playing basketball every single week. So it was the right move, and it was a risk, of course, but at the time, and this is something, again, we can talk about later on, maybe when there's some questions, but there's risks with everything, and the biggest thing is if you don't take the risk, nothing's going to change, and we're going to sit here just like what my mother said. You'll end up coming back here to the living room, right? So I thought that was me out of Qatar, and it was the right stepping stone, because I think just leaving, I was only in Vietnam for maybe the full season, so it was like 10 months that I was working with the professional team and developing the curriculum, and then ended up coming back with even more experiences, a lot more creativity, a lot more excitement, and it was just the right timing. And I think a lot that we'll talk about today will be to do with right timing, and I'm a big believer in that. It might be something corny, I'm not sure, but when people talk about luck, I think luck is just translated to three key areas, and that's preparation, good timing, and opportunity. And I think those three things for me with kind of the direction that I've gone, and I've now built up this B-Basketball program that's now affiliated with the NBA. We actually done a clinic with the NBA last term, and we had Dikembe Mutombo over working with B-Basketball, which was crazy. So the people that I'm now able to meet, the people that I have on my phone, it's just pretty spectacular. So I'm trying to always keep myself on the ground and stay humble every day, because I'm truly blessed for where the game has taken me.
Fantastic, brilliant. Well, I think I think everyone should really try and go onto Instagram and search for Ben on there. His Instagram account is B-Basketball, is that correct?
Yeah, the letter B. Yeah, _ basketball.
Yeah, B-Basketball. Do you want to write that quickly into the chat, Ben? Have you got a function to do that? And they'll all click on that and maybe give it a follow and watch that. I've been looking through this Instagram account. I think it's excellently done in many ways, the coaching, but how it's presented. It's got a great following. And I think if anyone's got an idea of setting up a coaching business in the UK or abroad, then marketing is huge, and being able to promote things properly.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think just the way that we've done this, the way we've positioned the brand, and the logo's changed quite slightly. B and E started off as the two people that founded it to begin with, Ben and Eric, but then the whole emphasis behind the motto of be a motivator, be a great player, be a great teammate, be motivational. So the emphasis of such a powerful doing word just really took over. So the logo started with a basketball with the letters B and E drawn into it. And Sean, it's a really funny story, but I swear when I was doing graphic design, and I was probably GCSEs like 14, I ended up making this clock. And it was for basketball. It was for the Basketball Association of Wales, or the Welsh Basketball Association, right? So it had three basketballs, and it had the three like the silhouettes of the letters. But all I was doing as a kid was drawing the basketball with the basketball lines, but with my letter B in there. It's just crazy. And now I always kind of remember that time, and I look at it now, and it's like, well, I've done it that much that it's kind of come to fruition. So yeah.
Fantastic, brilliant. And it's amazing if we just track back from a little small town in Wales, and lots of the students that are on this call are from the little small towns in Wales, and right. That you're now working with NBA players, NBA coaches. We've got 400 students or players under your books, and although you had a passion as a youngster to make it as a player, and you did the best you can be, like we all do, but you've still been able to have your dreams and still link it in with the coaching. So I think it's absolutely fantastic. So it's amazing, and it's really inspiring story. We do have some questions through here, Ben. So first one, we've got one from Harley Burns, which is, what's your best sporting experience?
Wow, what a question. Harley, that's a great question. Wow. Do you know what? I would love to say some stories about when I was playing, but there's plenty of them. But I think, and it's just kind of interesting how what the three of us, you, me, and Mark, were talking about last week. That I think when anybody really falls in love with basketball, they're just mesmerized by the NBA. And even as a Welsh guy, you dream of playing in the NBA. And it's kind of not. I never was that good enough, of course, but now I've got NBA coaches and players in my contacts. So I think it ended up getting there somehow in the end, but maybe not as a player, but as a coach and as a program developer. I think my best basketball story would be getting Dikembe Mutombo over to work with our kids last year. I mean, this guy, and it was just on the cusp of when Kobe unfortunately passed away. So he actually had a lot of cameras on him during that week when he was here with Al Jazeera, with beIN Sport. And, you know, we had him for 2 days active doing camps. And this guy is literally bigger than life. And, you know, he's the guy that kind of, you know, waved his finger at MJ and everybody, and MJ dunked on him and all that kind of stuff. So we're leading a camp. I'm the camp director of this whole thing. And Dikembe Mutombo walks in and everyone's just blown away. The guy is just bigger than life. And then in the evening, the coaches take us and all the NBA staff out for dinner. And I'm literally there sat across Dikembe Mutombo, listening to him tell a story about the time that he played on the All-Star team with Kobe Bryant. And I'm a guy from Abertillery. And it was just one of those shell shock moments where it was like I was dreaming. I was just there eating my food and I had Dikembe Mutombo kicking me in the shins because he's like 7'2" or whatever. And I'm just trying to keep my feet out of the way so he can stretch out a little bit. But that was probably one of the highlights of my whole life, let alone basketball career. But Harley, that was a great question. I hope it answers.
Brilliant, fantastic. We've got 2 more questions I'm going to try and get into here, Ben, Anna, because I know you're busy. But how does this is from Elizabeth? How do you feel, or how did it feel breaking out of your comfort zone? So, you know, looking back now, I imagine, you know, things could have been a lot differently, I guess, you know, if you didn't do these things, seizing the moment, coming out of your comfort zone. So how does it feel now, and where do you think you'd be if you didn't go out of your comfort zone?
Right. Another great question. Thanks, Elizabeth. And do you know what? Weirdly, I think since the first time I ever quit a job and had that feeling of freedom and that it was the right thing, I think that just gives you the confidence to be a little bit unstoppable. And that if you have like a diehard passion for something, and you might not want, you know, the normal 9 to 5, which is great, and you know it works for so many, but if you know it's not for you, and you know the risk is worthy to at least try, then I think, you know, it's all worth going for. So I've never really looked back at doing things like that, whether it was, and people talk about this all the time, and it's always hard to measure whether it's your heart talking, your gut talking, you know, which one is which. I think you'll get a feeling. If something's not right for you, you'll know that it's time to just, you know, hang up your boots and try something else. And if you need to stick it out, like, you know, launching Be Basketball, this is our 6th season right now, and I'm saying that I'm blessed, but it's been a lot of work, right? And I would only be doing it so much and so hard for myself. So it's a great liberating feeling when you're putting all this blood, sweat, and tears into something that you can call your own. And that makes such a difference. I think I've done it for so many years where I was literally working so hard that I kind of felt like, you know, Evo was my company, or I felt like the Saigon Heat thing was my thing, because I would literally work like that. And some people, it's not for everyone. So I always wanted my own business. And I think taking a step out of just the comfort zones is something that gives me a lot of excitement, a lot of thrills, whether it's going to a new country where you don't speak a lick of the language, and, you know, having soup for dinner in the corner shop of some family and trying to make sign language. And I think traveling helped me a lot. It gives you a lot of confidence in yourself. It gives you a lot of confidence in the world out there, the people out there, actually. So yeah, I don't think I'll ever shy away from challenges. I think you always got to calculate it up with, you know, the weight of the risk, depending on the situations and what have you, and not be stupid at the same time. But, you know, I think everyone knows deep down whether it's something to go for, something to stand back. And like I said, timing is everything sometimes. And I feel like, and I actually spoke, this is something that Tommy from Evo and I actually spoke about a few weeks ago when we met, was that if you feel like you're trying too hard sometimes, to whether you're trying to sell something or set up a business, whether you're trying, it's almost like friction, then it surely isn't the right time. But if something is quite seamless, like Be Basketball, like I said to you, was a lot of work, but finding the right sponsor in Qatar, finding the right location, finding the right people, it kind of just took a momentum of its own, and it kind of felt like it was already setting itself up for us just to coordinate and manage. So I think when the timing's right, even a challenging thing you'll feel it, you know. So yeah.
Fantastic. So I know we've mentioned this briefly, and it's obviously early days, but would you be interested in potential students in the future coming over to Qatar, as alongside with Evo, and maybe working for some sort of coaching, volunteering work, some summer work with B Basketball?
Absolutely. With open arms, I would love to do it, especially as someone from Wales that, might have been seeking for opportunities like this at that time, right? That really, the fantastic work that you guys do at LLS and the team behind you, we didn't really have that back in my day. I was doing my GCSEs at 94, so I'm showing my age now, but opportunities like this, there was something that I was trying to do, which I didn't in the end, just to get out, spread my wings. I don't know where it was. I just always felt like I wanted to travel, but there was that, and it's still going now. Camp America was something, right? So again, getting out with LLS and going out to Evo and to B Basketball and all these places, we would love it. And there's so many different facets of the business that anybody could help out with, right? So you could write articles for our website, so there'd be sports journalism. You could do some videography for us. You could help out on the court as an assistant coach. You could do some refereeing. I know the courses that Sean puts on and the team there back in the UK is fantastic to get your coaching license. But as a sports industry, there's so many professions like that you could really help out with, and the students could help B Basketball out. We would love it.
Fantastic, brilliant, man. Well, I know that you like I said, you're going to coach some elite players now, but I'd like to just leave you, if you don't mind, some top tips, maybe 1, 2, or either 3 top tips that you can maybe give to our students before we'll say goodbye and let you go on your busy day, because I know it's quite late there as well. But yeah, if you've got in a nutshell, top tips for our guys before you go.
Sure. I think the demographic of who we're speaking to right now, they're all super young with so much time ahead of them. And I think the number one thing, if we're talking about 2 or 3, would be be patient, right? There's no rush. Even though when you're young, you want to do it now. And I'm a Leo, so I'm very impatient. I'm a very, go after it, energetic person. But being patient as a youngster, I really didn't know what I was doing when I was 18, 19. I didn't know that. I kept on with the education stream, and I really felt like the one time I fell in love with learning and education was actually in university. In school and college, it was just basketball 24/7. I really couldn't care much about anything else. But when I went into university, I was a lot more mature. I was in the big world, driving a car and all this kind of stuff, having a part-time job in a gym, and I was really ready to learn. So being patient when you're this age is key, I think. Even though you feel like the time is just racing, it'll feel like that even when you're 38. Believe me, it doesn't stop. So being patient. And then if you have, a passion, whether it be badminton, basketball, swimming, music, playing a ukulele, it really doesn't matter. Just whether it stays as a recreational hobby. Everyone that I speak to right now that kind of looks into what I do, and they're just, 1, they're proud, but 2, they kind of wish they kept up with their hobby or their thing, and they kind of are now events managers, or they're doing something completely kind of different, and they didn't continue dancing, or they didn't continue playing the piano or whatever. So I've only heard little stories of regret with those things. So even as a teenager, I would say 1, be patient, but 2, if you have a hobby that you're really passionate about, like even as a kid from Wales, I really stuck with basketball. And maybe it might not turn out the way you think when you're a child or when you're a teenager, but it could delve into, helping a professional team. You could be a sports therapist, you could be a coach yourself. So you could very well find, and as you know, Sean, the sports industry is expanding every year with different professions and different qualifications needed in different people in different parts of the world. So it's a fantastic industry to be a part of. So yeah, those are 2. I don't know if there's a 3rd one, but I would highly recommend for anybody to travel, whether it's even for a month, whatever, just and feel and like I'll start with the story and I'll go back to it. But just like what my mother says, if everything goes really wrong, the worst place you can end up is back where you started. So even if it's for a month, to just meet new people, network, traveling for me was one of the biggest life lessons up until this day.
Fantastic, Ben. Thank you so much. LS students, thank you. I know it's been a long day for many of you. Ben, I know it's been a long day for you as well. So I'll let you go. Guys, take care. And Ben, take care. Great speaking to you. And hopefully we'll speak to you soon. Okay.
Look forward to it, Sean. Guys, take care. All the best. And get in touch with B Basketball. We'd be happy to hear from you. All the best.